Okay, all right. I think we're streaming now. I think we should hear our audio. Welcome back, everybody. I'm meteorologist Andrew Myers, and we are battling these mic issues. I think it's a problem with our streaming software. If you guys are familiar with OBS, help us out. We have no idea what's going on with this audio, but we're working on it. But welcome back. Today we're talking about some high winds and large hail potential through the Midwest and the Great Lakes area. Already got some storms going on through the Ohio Valley, so we'll cover it all here in a second. And then into tomorrow, it's going to be more of a low-key risk, more scattered through, parts of the high plains, as well as out in the Ohio Valley. So we'll get into all of that here in a moment. And then at the end, we do have a couple new tropical developments on the horizon here. And one of those is off of the East Coast. Not expected to do a ton of intensification, but could potentially impact parts of Georgia and Florida. So we'll talk about that. Now, getting into yesterday as a quick recap here, we got a good amount of hail and wind reports across the nation, some across, the high plains, north plains here, and then across, of course, Minnesota and Wisconsin, all the way through northern Wisconsin, got a ton of those hail and wind reports. Up near Duluth, got some isolated 2 inches, and things did backbuild towards Minneapolis, didn't make it quite into the city, but still got some severe hail out that way for our Midwest risk area into yesterday. And then out through New England, got some high winds and some hail as well, all the way from Boston down into Virginia. Could potentially see some more storms through that region into the next 48 hours. Right now, pretty clear and sunny across a lot of the south, still baking in that heat, but out in the Ohio Valley, that's where we still have a handful of severe thunderstorm warnings that have been being issued into this morning and afternoon. As that line of storms passes through Ohio, we'll get a second round of severe weather activity through the region into this afternoon and evening, watching that for a potential for hail as well as high winds. Again, it's just an oven through the south part of the U.S. right now, 95 degrees in Dallas, 91 in Atlanta, sitting in the mid-80s even in Minneapolis. So really no one's getting much relief from this heat. And with that trough moving through, we'll have a potential to see some storms where we get relatively cooler air meeting that nice hot humid air down to the south. So there is what we have on our significant hail model here into the coming hours, 6 p.m. Got that corridor there through Idaho and parts of, or Iowa, parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin for that large hail potentially forming, and then could see some high winds later on into the evening as things go a little bit more linear. So there's the initial development of our storms through Green Bay, potentially Minneapolis or parts of the Minnesota-Wisconsin border here by around 6 p.m. That'll be our initial hail threat. Then things track down to the south and we see things taking more of a clustered storm mode, potentially hitting Milwaukee around 11 p.m., a little bit later for Chicago with some very high winds. Then as things get over the Great Lakes into Michigan and Ohio, could potentially see a brief ramp up in those winds across the area with a remnant hail chance through the region before things break up into the New England area by around 7 a.m. tomorrow. So there's your wind forecast into the coming hours. See all that racing across Ohio again for your second round of thunderstorms between, the Chicago metro, parts of Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, into today through tonight. And then into the high plains area, we'll see more of a scattered storm chance through like Montana, Wyoming, etc., tracking off east through the high plains with a chance for lots of rumbles of thunder, some heavy rain, and maybe some scattered hail and gusty wind here and there. So for your hail forecast, got both of those areas highlighted there. Large hail initially possible, but it's going to be very brief through parts of Wisconsin and maybe backing right up to Minnesota and Iowa, and then very scattered hail chances through the rest of that risk area into today. So if you're in Butte, if you're in Billings, all the way out to Rapid City, lowest of low-end chances to see some quarters with any of those storms that track through. But once you get out east into like Minneapolis area, out into Green Bay, Milwaukee, Madison, that's when we'll have more storm coverage and potentially more storm intensity early on with those as they track off to the east, and then seeing those hail sizes come down as things turn into more of a wind threat tracking through the Great Lakes region. So here's your wind forecast for today. Also got a couple areas of scattered wind chances through the desert southwest and the northeast. It's going to be very brief and very low end, but the bulk of our risk area is going to come from this swath right here. So kind of similar again for hail as it is for wind out west, super low end chances through that region to potentially get some gusty winds up to 60 miles an hour or so. Chicagoland area, you got the best chance to see some high winds, as well as Milwaukee as that band forms and tracks eastward over you guys. Grand Rapids, you're in it as well, into Detroit, and then Cleveland and Columbus with that line of storms. And then things should quiet down a little bit as they move towards like Pittsburgh, Charleston, etc., out in the New England area for wind. So I think today's going to be more of a wind prevalent threat. Could see some hail mixed in there, but a lot more high winds through this area is what we're watching. So for your most at-risk cities included in that graphic, we got Dubuque, Iowa is how I'm going with it. Dubuque, Iowa, you got a moderate to high chance of seeing some winds at or greater than 60 miles an hour into today. So secure your lawn furniture and your trash cans if you're in any of these cities. But Chicago down to Fort Wayne, best chance there of the region to see some gusty winds tracking through. And then Detroit, you got a moderate chance. Cleveland, again, things should be quieted down, starting to break apart as it moves past Ohio and into New England. So, leaving you guys for today with our tornado threat. It's really going to be the initial development of those storms tracking through from, central Iowa into the Great Lakes there. So if you guys are in Davenport, if you're up in Dubuque, Milwaukee, Chicago, anywhere in north central Iowa today, you could potentially see a tornado or two, but that's going to be super scattered. Again, wind is going to be your prevalent risk for today. Then into tomorrow. Watching a very low-end risk, but we could see potentially some storms along I-25, so you guys in Denver might be back in it for tomorrow afternoon and evening. There we are by 6 p.m., things tracking off to the east through the central plains now, and staying very scattered with any of those storm chances. Could potentially see some more rain picking up through the overnight and early morning hours, but that should stay below severe limits. Then out in New England, could have more storm coverage now, watching lots of stuff moving towards the coast here by around 5 p.m. Eastern, all the way from Portland down through Nashua, towards Albany with a line of storms that could potentially produce some high winds, and then more scattered stuff swinging through the Ohio Valley for the afternoon and evening hours, but again, should be pretty low end on your severe threats through that region. So, for hail, looking at mostly quarters across the area, could potentially see some larger hailstones super scattered through the I-25 corridor with any storms that really get rolling there. But if you guys are in Rapid City, Cheyenne, Denver, right down to Pueblo, and then eastward to North Platte and central Nebraska, could potentially see some severe weather into tomorrow. Going to be few and far between on those warnings. Same thing through the Ohio Valley and the Northeast. Few and far between for hail into tomorrow. Could potentially see a little more wind once you're along the New England coast, but otherwise, those severe thunderstorm warnings won't be, super prominent into tomorrow. So Rapid City, Denver, North Platte, Hastings, Kearney area, all the way out east into, New England here. Once we're from New York to like Philly, up into Albany, Boston, you guys will have the best chance to see some high winds with that line tracking through, and then everything else should be scattered through the Ohio Valley for tomorrow. So now just leaving you guys with your 5 to 7 day tropical outlook, and then getting into Florida and Georgia as well. This guy has, over the next 2 days, 20% chance of formation. It's moving towards the better conditions that we kind of talked about yesterday. We got good conditions towards the windward islands here, low wind shear, nice warm waters. It's tracking that way. So in the next 5 to 7 days, got a 60% chance of development on this system, but looks like it's going to track up north through the central Atlantic for that time period. Then down towards the Yucatan Peninsula here out in the Caribbean, got this guy, 10% chance of development in the next 2 to 7 days as it moves over land. Could potentially see a little bit of intensification, not too much, and kind of the same story with what we've got developing over Georgia and Florida right now. You can see this tropical system trying to really develop, but won't be expected to really do much as it, again, tracks over land. But could potentially get you some heavier rainfall in parts of the coastal areas here. Jacksonville getting 3/4 of an inch, Tybee Island near Savannah could potentially get some almost an inch of rain. So that's really going to be the main impact from that system into the next 48 hours. And so, just watch out for lots of storms from that, but shouldn't be seeing anything tropical storm force from that system into the next 2 days. So That's what we got for you guys today. You guys can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Hit See First on Facebook so you never miss a live video, and smash that subscribe button everywhere else. And then if you want to get in contact with us, you guys can go ahead and scan the QR code up above me or click the link in the description to this video. Gets you access to all of our hail trace weather products. We map all severe storms live, so if you guys want access to those, go ahead and sign up for that. Or if you want more info, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. Email us at info@hailtrace.com or check out hailtrace.com for more details. And we'll be back with Peyton on Monday to tell you guys more about what next week's pattern is going to be looking like. But for now, I'm meteorologist Andrea Myers.